Okay, presenting the live stream. Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Drag List Live, where we get to bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name is Bill Pratt. It's great to be with you as always. And we are on the Supercrew World Headquarters site tonight, hopefully. We'll take a peek there in a moment and make sure we'll come to you live, but it says we are. Folks, I'm so thrilled to have our old friend Patrick Reynolds on with us tonight. We shared the airwaves back in the days in the Racers Reunion era, and I can't wait to catch up with Patrick. Before we bring him in, let's go to John real quick and say hello, and then we'll get started. John?
Well, doing great here, BP, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. Tell us who you are and where you're from. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to BP and Patrick.
Thank you so much, John. And folks, I don't even know if you have the opportunity to do this on the group. I mean, I suspect the same buttons are there, but if you wouldn't mind liking and sharing and letting your friends know we have Patrick Reynolds live, that would be awesome. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Patrick Reynolds, welcome to the show.
Bill, thank you so much for inviting me on. It's been a long time. We've known each other for quite a while, and to come back on Drag List Live, what a ride down memory lane I think we're going to take tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
excited
been
to be here. Thank you.
I can't. It's 24, 25 years. However, let's see, 2010, summer of 2010.
Yeah,
So whatever the math works out, I guess that's 14 or 15.
14, yeah.
But oh my gosh, it's been back with our good friends at Racers Reunion Radio, Jeff Gilder and the crew. We had Wally Bell was on, and Sam Auxier was on, and
Yep.
Patrick Reynolds, and I think Speedway Report was on as well. The short track racing, having so much fun.
Yeah, we began the title of the show is actually Motor Week Live.
Hmm.
And before we changed it to Speedway Report, and we were talking off air about I started a story, then I stopped it. I said, well, we'll wait to the show, and then just the title of my show. Guess what? There's a story with that too. I began Motor Week Live, and that was a call Jeff Gilder gave to me. He said, would you like to have your own show on Racers Reunion? And I was thrilled with the prospect. And as we designed the idea of it, one of it was the title of the show. And I named it with inspiration from Motor Week Illustrated. Way back in the
Hmm.
80s on WTBS used to air, it was 5:35 Saturday afternoons. Dave Despain would host the
Yeah,
show. And I loved that show. Absolutely loved it. 30-minute auto racing wrap-up show. And this is when part of the country didn't even have cable TV yet.
right.
So it was a big deal, and I love this show. And you got highlights from all the major global and national touring series and short track racing, and I love that show. So the title of my show, Motor Week Live, came from inspiration of Motor Week Illustrated. Well, wouldn't you know, the folks at PBS got wind of it, and because they have their Motor Week show that's
Hmm.
been on for decades, and then they weren't really happy with us. And I thought it took it as a little bit of a badge of honor
Yeah,
that PBS is actually bothered by us. We're making that big of a dent. And
yeah.
this was, yeah, 20, 10, 11, 12, whatever it was, somewhere in there. And I could pull up my phone, and I just did like a random internet search for Motor Week. And we came up, Racers Reunion came up ahead of PBS on internet searches. So we were doing
Yeah,
something right. Anyway,
yeah.
there was a lot of talk. They didn't like it so much. We changed the title of the show to Speedway Report because I wanted to keep an all-encompassing title of a show. I
Right.
love drag racing, but I also like road racing, oval track racing, dirt, pavement. So I like cars that go fast and things with,
Right.
with big engines in them. So that's the shortened version. There's a whole lot more to it than that. But yeah, that was the shortened version. Back in the day when we started, it was Motor Week Live, and then
Mhm.
Speedway Report came from that.
Yeah, as I was sort of writing this up, I went to like Motor Week Live, and then I looked on the poster that John did, of course, his two per week custom posters, which I don't know how he does it, but it
That's
is Speedway
great
Report. I'm
artwork.
like, maybe I misremembered, but now I do remember
Yeah,
the change. I never heard the backstory on why, though. I don't think, right?
that was
But
it.
that's
It was
cool.
it. What was cool, like an add to it, is part of the deal is that actually PBS's ad department or our art department actually designed that logo for Speedway Report
Uh-huh.
that you see that's shown in the lower corner there. We use
Yeah.
that for Speedway Report, and we asked them for the colors here's the colors you can use. And Jeff gave him the colors of all the flags that you have over a racetrack, green, yellow, red, black, white, and that. So they
Right.
came up with this design. That was actually PBS that designed the logo for Speedway Report. That was part of the deal of us not using Motor
Oh
Week.
man, that's nice. So you're wheeling and dealing back and back.
Yeah, I give full credit to Jeff Gilder. Most of it went through him. He kept me up to date and input, but I'm not going to take credit for that hard negotiation. That is a Jeff Gilder thing. But yeah, the colors and the design from PBS, from Jeff Gilder, and that's how Speedway Report was born. The
I love
title,
it.
anyway. Yeah.
Oh man, I miss Jeff and I miss Dustin and those guys. They're great. And the sound quality, we're slugging it out here and using Facebook, and we've used a number of various media, I guess, in the interim. But man, when I listen to those old shows, I'm like, oh my God, they were so pristine and clean and quiet and perfect.
Yeah.
It's a difference having a real pro do it, and we're kind of hacks in the backyard here using social media.
But did you make it down to North Myrtle Beach where the Racers Reunion Studios were?
I never did.
They
I
were
always
real.
intended to.
They were some serious real TV radio studios ready for production. That's why when they made the calls in our early days there, the sound were incredible. Now, since COVID and Zoom took off and
Right.
Facebook Live and gosh, you can go live on Twitter, you can go live on LinkedIn and
Right.
things like that. But we're kind of using either our phones or our laptop audio and
Right.
video, which is, the technology is great, but man, it's still nothing compared to around, that's 2014, 2015 when they were
Right.
using the full TV and radio studio there with the Gilders. It was some operation, and you can tell the difference in the sound for sure.
Yeah. It was so cool. Plus, I would get my little plugs like, hey, this is Juggle Pam Hardy. You're listening to Dragless Live or whatever. Racing and Rockin' Radio is what we called
Yeah.
it back
Yeah.
then.
I remember
Change
that.
that
Yeah.
up a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But oh man, so
Yeah. Guys that come in the studio, let's get a drop from them before they leave, and they'd get it for us.
yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, I never did get to go down there and slam a few beers with you guys. I guess we used to be the real goat rodeo. It used to be fun sounding, but
Used to love looks. I would listen to the goat rodeo, and sometimes I'd get a wild hair and call in and chat with them on air. But they were fun. Coastal Jack and Tim Leeming and
yeah,
Jeff and Dustin. Good times. Cody Dismore, great group of guys. Loved it.
yeah. I did get to meet Tim once, wherever I was. There was something in Carolinas we went down to, probably one of the Henderson events or something like that that Nancy Wilson put on. But it was real nice meeting Tim. And I didn't get to meet them all, but those were some awesome dudes.
Yeah, yeah. Tim and I he was a good friend, he is a good friend of mine, but we would have a little bit of a persona in chat rooms and on air of the yin and the yang, the oil and the water back and forth. Whatever one of us said, the other one would disagree and hop on that other one just to stir up some trouble. It would be good radio. And
Right.
we had a lot of fun, and we'd call and text each other, off air, and we'd laugh and had a great time. And we'd get people kind of mad and turned up because we'd take an opinion on whatever,
Right.
and just whatever he thought, I thought the opposite, just for the sake of it. We had a lot of fun with that.
That sounds like like super fun devil's advocate stuff.
Yeah, well, it makes good radio.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Don Imus,
Yeah.
out of New York.
I'm in the
Great.
morning.
Yeah, Imus in the morning. Yeah, he was around radio long before the video element, like this show here is. There's a video
Right.
element with a lot of radio broadcasts now. So he was in radio long ago before there was video, and he would have a guest and he would talk to them, whatever they would say. Same thing with me and Tim is like, if you tell me the sky's blue, I say, no, the sky's brown. And he would go like this at the guest, kind of like, let's go.
Yeah.
This is good. Just to get the banter
Right.
going. And when the video
Right.
came in, Imus didn't like that because now the video caught him, angered the
Yeah.
guest on just to get the back and forth on that. But
Caught me a few times when we first went on, when we were, it used to be a radio show. We
yeah,
added the video whenever it was, I guess, when we took off ourselves. But a few times I was like waving my hands around, indiscriminately. Crazy. Hey, let's check in, Patrick, with our guest, John, our guests on the chat line, John. Hopefully
Sure.
they all found us on the Super Crew group.
Okay, we got it. Well, so far we've had 4 people, and
Uh-oh.
it's I think it's because we moved from the drag list page and so forth, because
Sure.
there's usually 10 or 12 people. But tonight we have Pete Mariello in Los Angeles, and he says, "Yes, yes, there you are in all your glory." And Philip Noel says, "Good evening, everyone from Delaware." John
Wonderful.
Van Dahl says, "Good afternoon from Sydney, Australia."
Hey, John.
And Jack Red says, "Hi, gang." And that's who we have so far.
Welcome. Well, we always have I mean, hopefully more folks will find us, but those guys are awesome. So, Patrick, I don't know if you know some of those guys. John Van Dahl, a very well-respected photographer of drag racing down in Australia. Jack Red, who,
Yes, he is.
like goes back to the early days of Racers Union Radio.
Mhm.
It's been around forever and a day, a promoter and a magazine editor. Pete Mariello is a funny car racer and supports a circuit out there in California. And
Mm-hmm.
who'd I miss? One other guy there, John. Oh, Philip Noel was here on the East Coast with me, a good friend from the Maryland International Raceway days who has sponsored the funny car class at IHRA national events in the past, as well as doing a bunch of other great stuff. So, guys, welcome. And hopefully some more of our friends will find us. But until
Jack
they do,
Red,
we're going to
too.
have a great time.
Jack is a legendary drag racer in the Northeast and throughout the world, actually, and he's with us every time. These are all great guys, and they have great input. So uh, we're having fun. Kay Thurkelson just showed up, and she says, "Good evening, gents,"
Hey, Kay.
and
So,
she's in
Kay,
Salt Lake City, Utah.
K's
Mm.
are K's are like Western. K and Pete both take care of us by getting us a lot of great guests from the Western states, and she does all kinds of racing, not just the drags. But so John, did you have anything you wanted to chat about for a second before we buzz back?
Do I have what now?
Anything from you personally?
Me personally? Well, let's see. Yeah, my friend Jackie found a snake in her garden just now, and she's freaking out about it. And she wanted to know what kind of snake it is. So I sent a message to my son Nick, who is an expert on reptiles, and he said it's a rat snake and it's harmless.
There you go.
So Jackie,
Okay,
don't worry, everything's cool.
sounds good. We like Don the Snake Perdome. That's all we like. Thanks, John. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hey, Kay, good to see you, buddy. And we got Patrick on, and let's go back to it. So, what are sort of things you're doing right now? You got a lot of great MC gigs and a new show. I want to hear all
Yeah,
about.
good. Well, that graphic behind you's got a lot of my face on it. So hat tip to John for all the work he did on that. But yeah, that's a little bit of a clue. I'm doing a lot, and not all of it. Actually, minimal amount of it actually revolves around motorsports now. So when I get a chance to jump on this is great. You got to give it a chance to. Yeah, but I am. I got several ventures right now. One is Waves Entertainment.
Mhm.
That is as the name says, an entertainment company, and it specializes in stage and sound, LED walls, things like
Oh,
that. We do a
cool.
lot of concerts, live band presentations, festivals, and we are around the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I haven't moved anywhere from my NASCAR days.
Mhm.
Still in this area, but Waves Entertainment, and here we go with the as the host of Speedway Report and Racers Reunion. I still got a mic in my hand because I MC over 75 events for the past 3 years each year.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, I've MC'd and hosted over 200 different shows and presentations. I'm kind of like the Dick Clark or Ryan Seacrest of Charlotte, North Carolina lately with Waves Entertainment. That's a big chunk of my time. And also, just as the new year began, also started a new radio show on WSIC. It's located at Statesville, which is a suburb of Charlotte to the north side, just to the north side of Lake Norman. And that
Yeah.
is a talk radio station.
Okay.
And I host weekdays, the drive time hour, 5 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. It's local news.
Mhm.
So we've got Super Tuesday tomorrow, and all the election and the politics have trickled down right to the local level. So
Right.
I've had no shortage of guests or topics on the
Right.
local news channel.
Oh, that's cool. So you have guests on
Yeah,
during the presentation. That's great.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Some call in and some are just like this. We've done some Zoom calls, and the best ones when we can do it are right in the studio.
Right.
Have someone in there and we just chat one on one. But I've had a few mayors in, some local county commissioners with the primary tomorrow. As we record this one live, and the primary is tomorrow.
Right.
There are, gosh, I've had people calling me to come on the air so that they can talk about their platform for the
Yeah.
election. And we
Gotta
try to
get
give an
that
equal
last
voice to
stuff in.
everybody. Oh yeah, yeah. So those two projects are some of the big stuff I've done. And with the talk radio station, the timing is great because my audio producer for that one hosts a sports talk show immediately after my show.
Hmm.
So he and I work well together on race weekends. He covers a lot of high school sports as well as the Panthers, the Charlotte FC Club,
Right.
the Hornets. We got a lot of major stick and ball sports around here. I don't follow that too much. If it got an engine in and goes fast, you got my
Yeah.
attention. But the other sport,
Right.
but he covers a lot of that. But when the Monday after a big race weekend or a Friday, I tend to stick around and chime in on his show and offer my 2 cents of what I may or may not observe or what I thought about the show. So it's kind of a neat place to have an outlet
That's
again.
fantastic.
Yeah, because I don't talk much. I miss Racers
Right.
Reunion and what we all did here. I'm not part of that right now. So yeah, it's good. Just old FM and AM station, good old terrestrial radio, still
Yeah.
alive and well.
Amen. Yeah. I was a Navy radioman, so I learned all that stuff, and I was explaining it to a young person the other day how radio waves work when you don't go up to a satellite, and it took me back. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's it's gosh, as technology's changed over the last 20 years with the internet. Well, just Racers Reunion.
Hmm.
I tell people that when Jeff Gilder called me, years ago, 2010, to see if I wanted my own show, he had this neat idea. It was brand new to me. It was called internet radio. Like,
Right.
what is that? And now we all know it as podcast. But
Right.
this was breaking, state of the art technology
Right.
14 years ago at Racers Reunion. And I'm back on terrestrial radio, but the radio frequencies are still alive and well, but they're also on the podcasting platforms, all the
Right.
social media. We talked
Right.
about the video element with IMIS. They
Right.
have that as well. It's on all their social media. So it's, not a TV show, but like this, a televised radio
Right.
show.
Right.
And that's just, you can download it on demand because people consume their entertainment and news differently than they did
Right.
14 years ago. Um, but it is a terrestrial radio station. They're still alive and going strong. And I kind of
Mhm.
thought myself, please, that's on the way out. No, sir. No, sir. There's a
Well,
lot of people that listen to our FM and AM
yeah.
stations. Thousands of people. So it's fun. It's a big audience, and I like talking, as you can tell. Take the
Yeah.
night off. I'll just keep out monologue until 9. We're good.
Gotcha. Well, I know it's great that you got the drive time. So your name
Yeah.
must really be getting out there. Do you see the kind of cross between your MC gigs? Does your radio time give you a little bit more exposure for that, and perhaps vice versa?
Yeah, actually quite a bit. We go back a little bit with Waves Entertainment. It's somewhat seasonal, as we're very busy in the warmer months, right up until Christmas with Christmas tree lightings. And then I've got a couple of months where I'm in the office a lot. We're doing the business to put the summer together. Well, I've got more free time, and I had gotten to know the new owners of WSIC a little bit, and I just kind of sent an email out that says, "Do you have anything for me to do, like on air? I've got this time." And they said, "Come on and talk to us." And it turns out that the radio station is very much on board with Waves Entertainment and the local concerts and how they can piggyback what
Great.
they're doing. Waves Entertainment is very happy that their lead MC is on the air every day at
Right.
WSIC. So we
As
are
you
actually,
think.
yeah, it's actually a work in progress right now. But the owners of both companies are very happy and working together. And I'm in the middle, and I'm on
Right.
stages and on a microphone a lot. But they're both trying to, I want to say, use me, but not in a negative sense, but in a good
Sure.
sense. One Waves is complementing WSIC Radio. WSIC Radio is complementing Waves Entertainment. It looks to be a very good real good recipe of my time on stage is what I did so many years. You know, Jeff and Dustin Gilder kind of
Yeah.
coached me and showed me how to do it, and here I am, still like with an audience of thousands of people in front of me
Right.
sometimes. So
So
yeah.
great.
Hey,
John, thought?
Yeah, I had a question for Patrick. You and BP both are outstanding conversationalists, and I love listening to y'all talk. I was wondering how you got started in all this, Patrick.
oh boy. By chance, I stumbled into it.
Did you?
People have asked me this. Everything you guys ask me, there's a story behind it. It's not
Well,
just a
that's
quick
why
answer.
we're here. Let's go.
So, yeah, so I'm glad you're both sitting. My history is NASCAR. Being down here in Charlotte, is I'm a former crew guy. I worked in a lot of shops. I was a mechanic, fabricator, a tire changer, tire carrier, over the wall pit crew guy as well. And I had a career in NASCAR, and the housing market crash of '08 changed all that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, as you guys know, probably from drag racing as well, just general business, money
Yeah.
shifted, wasn't being spent as much.
A bad
Really,
year.
yeah, affected motorsports all globally in a negative way. So there were thousands of us that were out of work at that juncture, and I was I kept knocking on doors for other race teams. I wanted to go back to racing, but I was out of work for a really long time, over a year.
Oh,
And I was locally here around Lake Norman, and I was at some sort of function, a Chamber of Commerce networking event, or a job fair, or some kind of trade show. I don't know, don't remember. But I was just looking for a job. I was kind of desperate. And I ran into a guy that said, "Hey, have you ever tried radio?" And I said, "No." He said, "Do you want to give it a shot?"
hmm.
Well, sure. Turns out, as you know, God, universe, or whatever your belief system is, put us on the same path. This man was starting an auto racing talk show coming up, and he
Mhm.
needed a co-host. And here I was, an out of work NASCAR crew guy.
Wow.
The stars lined up. So the following week, I went to the radio station, which, by the way, is the same radio station I'm at now, WSSA, literally the same studio 14 years ago.
Wow.
I went to the radio station. I auditioned for the show. We did a mock show. He liked it. And he said, we began the show for real the following week, my first time on air at all, ever. And within a few weeks, the owner of the station at the time called me and said, "How would you like to join the morning show?"
Wow.
And it took off from there. I joined the morning show as the newsreader slash sidekick role. There's always the goofy sidekick
Yeah,
that plays the
right.
straight man. I was that role with the morning show. Well, through the relationship with the radio station, we branched out and were involved in the community a lot. And that's where I got to know the local music and concert and festival scene. That led to Waves Entertainment years later,
Right.
because it was all the same people. But it was that factor that I just stumbled into radio. And it reminded me, when I got on the air with microphones, started talking about auto racing, it reminded me of my days in middle school and high school, where, believe it or not, I loved theater. I
Right.
was a
Okay.
big theater guy. I was taking shop. I took metal
Yeah.
shop, auto mechanics, and I was in all the musicals and all the
Right.
plays. Nobody had that demographic. Nobody.
Yeah.
I was the one guy. And
Yeah.
I was a unicorn, so to speak. But that's how I got involved in it. One thing led to another. I was on air with WSIC when I got an email from Jeff Gilder.
Right.
I was
Okay.
hosting the auto racing talk show as a sidekick. He said, "Hey, would you like to come down to Racers Reunion and have your own show here?" That's how it all began, and that's how it flowed right to today.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That
neat,
is.
huh?
Yeah. Well, as you do Waves Entertainment and all the cross promotion, do you get in any of the promoting of the acts, or how does that work? If they have something come up, they just call you up to just come in and do the talent work, or do you actually take part in promoting some of these things and planning them?
It depends on the event. The answer is yes to both of your questions, but it depends on the event. Um, we can do. I can come in there and simply MC the event. That's all I do sometimes. Other times we've got the whiteboard out and the drawing board, and we are designing where the stage goes, designing where the seats
Yeah.
will go, the speakers, the LED walls, the vendors, the food trucks, the beer
Mhm.
trucks, hiring the acts.
Yeah.
We do all that, from soup to
Wow.
nuts. So we can do as much or as little as you want. So it depends on the event. There's no way to do it, and what
Mhm.
we do as well. So we take a lot, scale depends on what the organizer of the event wants,
Right.
but we do all that. We did an event, a concert last year. We brought in the stage and the sound, LED walls, and it was for Tyler Reese Tritt, who was
Mhm.
Travis Tritt's daughter,
Okay.
and she's one of the bigger names that we got to work with. We're largely
Wow.
local, but she
Yeah.
was pretty big. And then afterwards, we broke the stage and the sound down, and we went to one of the sponsors' houses up on Lake Norman. We had a very late party, but it was a lot of fun.
That sounds great. Yeah, I love
Yes,
that one tune her dad did years ago. I'm not a big, I don't know all the stuff he did, but there was one dude, it was like, alt country, kind of
mhm.
rocky country. And of course, I can't remember it now, but that's awesome. Was that
Yeah.
she following his sort of footsteps there, or is she?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of the strongest singers we've worked with. Now we work with mostly local I could say regional bands. We've got
Yeah.
some folks that come in the southeast. We've actually got a guy that comes in from Las Vegas a couple times a year. Is
Oh,
really good. He does a he's called Vegas McGraw, and he does a Tim McGraw tribute,
okay.
but he's out of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Great entertainer. But he's probably as far away as we go. Most of the stuff is regional, local, Charlotte and
Yeah.
Lake Norman area,
Yeah.
and the scale that we see is pretty good. But I can rate him here. And then Travis Tritt's daughter came in, and because of her pedigree, she's
Right.
kind of jumped above everybody as far as you put a mic up to her and she belts
Sure.
out a tune. The singing,
Yeah.
wow, it runs in the family. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
blessed to see a lot of talent out there.
Well, there's so much, yeah, so much talent over the United States. I mean, every area's got great bands that you can go see. Must be exciting.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Mr. John. Speaking of people who in great bands, and what do we got out there? Anybody on the chat wants to join in and say hello?
Yeah, we've had some more people show up. Pat Dixon Williams is here, and she says good evening. Glenn Fisher joined
Howdy.
us from Chicagoland, and Dale Broderick said they're here and listening. Tom Warren says good evening. Pete Mariello made an interesting post. He said, I just noticed the closed caption actually displays your words before you say them. I'm sure the feed is delayed before we see it. And I
Okay.
answered him, I said, Pete, that reminds me of the early 70s when I was watching the Sonny and Cher show. Sonny answered the phone and then it rang.
Yeah.
And we're caught up for the moment. Oh,
Great.
no, Ray Urban is here. He says, good evening.
Hey, Ray, how's it going, brother? Hope that new motor's together.
Yeah.
We have yeah, I saw the Mamas and the Papas. I like what speaking of consuming your entertainment the way you want it. I sit here mostly and work a little bit and have an open little Windows clips or reels or whatever they call them. I mean Facebook reels. And
Mm.
I caught one the other day where it was the Mamas and Papas singing. They were on the Ed Sullivan show and they were pissed because they made him lip sync the thing. So the one Michelle, what was her name? Michelle Williams, was it?
Michelle Williams, yeah.
Yeah, she was like eating a banana as they sang one of the songs to just try to make the point that she was not having it. But
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Anyway, so oh my gosh, so that's so exciting. Yeah. What were some of the favorite gigs you've done, across all the I guess either radio in person or whatever. Does anything stand out to you as just one of your favorite, most fun times?
Yeah. Well, gosh, I can't do the one, but I can do a handful. When we get to concerts around here, live outdoor concerts that we do, the bigger the crowd, the better.
Hmm.
And I've seen that I compare it to what I do now, kind of like being a roofer. I'm afraid of heights. There is no way you're going to get me on the roof of a building, but guys do it.
Yeah,
And one of the heights is a big fear. One of
right,
the public fears that people have is public speaking or get up in front
right.
of the audience. They do not want to do it. And I'm weird, and like the more people, the better. So we've got a few gigs around here. Most of them they're in a smaller range, but a few of them are anywhere from the 10 to 20,000 range.
Wow.
And that's exciting when you have that many people
Yeah.
involved in those things. It's a day-long holiday festival, and there's a churn, and you get up there and address a crowd, and there's just people everywhere. So those are my favorites. And I think you talk about moments. Some of the bigger, some of the times being on Racers Reunion, I was blessed to be on the phone with some of the legends, absolute legends of auto racing. And I don't know if I've
Right.
ever would have had a conversation with these people
Right.
in my life. We had a surprise call when the Snake and Mongoose movie came out. We had the producers on the line on the phone
Wow.
chatting about it, and I get a message from Jeff or Dustin, one of the two, a little instant message said, "Don't tell him Don Prudhomme's on the line. He's surprised calling in."
Nice.
When is this ever going to happen to me?
Yeah.
We were able to arrange for some legendary folks. I talked to Bobby Allison, Bobby Unser. Probably the biggest name. I think the biggest name I ever did is I had a conversation with Mario Andretti. He was a
Wow. How
guest
amazing.
on Racers
I
Reunion.
I I believe I remember that show. I mean, I
Yeah,
got there, I'm changing the subject in a little bit, but while I'm thinking about it, Jeff has hard drives with some of those shows on them.
sure.
They're all saved out. And he
Yeah,
and I talked about it. I've got to get them out. We've got to get them and we got to save them to YouTube. And I need to go to Fiverr or something because I'm busy day to day, but somebody who's got, who would like to do that. We really need someone to do that and put that stuff where it can be saved and searched. And I know Jeff, as many times over the years had various places where he could go get it. I mean, there's still some of the
yeah.
Racers reunions up there now. I know he's so busy that we
Mhm.
don't, I was even said, yeah, I'll take it over for a while, but that was all full of BS. There's too much going
Yeah,
on. But
I'd want
anyway,
to. Yeah, even
it's
even
gold, and they're
big drag
gone, right?
racers. Yeah, they're
Absolutely.
there, and some of the big folks from NHRA. I was thinking as you're talking, um, gosh, Karen Stouffer was on several
Yeah.
times.
Oh, we've
Had
had all
Larry
the
Dick.
forces on. We've had
Yeah,
Chris Karamazini's on. We've had Big Daddy 3 times.
yeah,
And you
Larry
can't,
Dixon.
yeah,
When am I ever going to talk to these people? I'm not,
yeah,
but I did on Racers Reunion, and it was
yeah,
it was it was great to meet them and rub elbows and get them on the air and chat with them, get to know them a little bit. It's though you talk about moment,
yeah,
not one, but all the whole body of work. Because I never would have had a conversation with these people without Racers Reunion.
right. It was so great.
Yeah, how do we get
Shouts
it back?
to let's do it. Well, the thing is, we're gonna just need to get him somewhere where I can just put my finger right on him without thinking about it. Because
Hmm.
I do watch I mean, I do sit there and watch YouTube a ton. If I watch TV, it's pretty much YouTube. And then I like certain things. And but our stuff isn't out there. And I do have a channel, so need to get it out there. We need to, we'll talk to Mr. Jeff. It's all about somebody like doing it though.
Hmm.
Know that, since we've been up since the summer of 2010. So I know there are lost episodes that hopefully are on a hard drive somewhere. And then our first couple of forays after we left the show, we were with a really sketchy product. It made a pretty cool, they had pretty nice graphics at the bottom and stuff with our name.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
remember.
always, always, always something different. As I'm, podcasting to a group now instead of our page, it's always something different. But anyway, I digress. But
I
any
get it though.
amazing any amazing moments you can think of?
Oh boy, the amazing moments. I go back to that Andretti, because to that Andretti episode, as that's the first one that always comes to mind to me. Because there's always a debate of who's the greatest race car driver.
Yeah.
Well, there's no answer,
Yeah.
but the name Mario Andretti is certainly in there.
Right.
You would think, in the drag racing world, you're going to take a Don Garlits or maybe a John Force, that elite, the Richard Petty, the Dale
Right.
Earnhardt,
Right.
AJ
Right.
Foyt, that elite over the entire world. And Andretti's one of those names. And
Absolutely.
when the cop pulls you over and you're speeding, he goes, "Who do you think you are, Mario Andretti?" Well, this was the guy.
Right. Yeah.
And I couldn't believe, and that's the name that I could drop to anybody don't follow auto racing of any kind at all.
Right.
They knew who that was. Who's
Right.
the biggest name you talked to? I'm like, that was it. And we had a sound clip as we got him on the line. And I remember this night. And during the commercial break, I was nervous. And I didn't really get nervous too much about anybody. And I think Jeff always would say, when we get the person on the phone ring, and he'd say, "Oh, hey, John, Jeff Gilder from Racer Union." He goes, "Hey, Bill," Jeff, whoever the guest was.
Yeah.
When he answered the phone, he said, "Hello, Mr. Andretti." Like
Yeah.
we knew what we were doing here. We knew we
Yeah.
were going big time here.
Yeah.
And when he got on, and I welcomed him on air to the show, I said, Please welcome Mario Andretti." He goes, "Thanks, Patrick. How are you doing tonight?" And
Yeah.
we had that soundbite
Yeah.
where Mario Andretti said my
Right.
name. I turned into fanboy.
Yeah.
In an intro to Speedway Report later, he put my introductions of people in there, and he
Oh,
put
right.
that soundbite of
I
Mario on
remember
the intro to the show. Like, oh, heart be still. I
those
turned
are
into
good.
a goofy fanboy for
Yeah.
that Andretti episode every time. That was
There's a
pretty fun.
couple of guys that get me, Prudhomme's
Yeah,
one of them, Garlett's, although I'd say I've talked to Don so many times over the years that I mean, certainly
yeah,
all the respect, right? But he's not, but he's been relatively approachable to me for quite a while. And it's with the nostalgia scene. But Prudhomme was like, yeah, he's the one that, yeah, he was,
yeah.
but,
I had him on the show at least once, and I talked to him. I think more than once, because I heard him tell the story. He may have told it years with him and AJ Foyt at Indianapolis.
mhm.
Have you ever heard this story about the 55-gallon drum?
No, let's hear it though.
Oh, okay. Next time Snake's on your show, ask him about this. But here's the paraphrase of it. I'll let Don tell it. He tells it like nobody else. But it was one year in Indianapolis, quite a while ago. I don't remember the year. AJ during the month, back when they did the month of May, AJ was not running well at all. Mid pack, lower pack. Well, he calls up Don and he says, "Hey, um, do you have any of that nitromethane?" And Snake says, "Yeah, I got it here in the shop." He goes, "Can I get a drum of it?" And he says, "Yeah." He goes, "Don't bring it here. I'm going to send a few guys up there to pick it up." So they do. They pick up a 55-gallon drum from Prudhomme's shop. Off it goes with Foyt's guys down the
Oh,
speedway. Snake don't know nothing, don't want to know nothing, not asking nothing.
yeah.
Next day, AJ's on top of the speed charts at the speedway practicing for the 500. Nobody knows nothing about nothing. No, not talking about it. But that was the story. Next time you have Prudhomme on the show, please ask him to tell this story. My version of it does not do it justice, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
you gotta have him
Oh,
tell it.
how do you
He's,
do?
oh my God, him and AJ Foyt. My goodness, great. This is the good stuff you just don't read about in a magazine article.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember Wally having him on, and I called in for
Yeah.
that because the one thing I'll say, I'm a numbers freak, right, for drag racing, and the way that they ran the clocks back then, the Crondeck clocks, the weight that the decimals, there were only certain, like one or two, or perhaps on occasion three possible speeds for every speed, like 241.28 to 241.93. Those were the only two 241s that would ever come up legitimately on the Crondeck clocks of the day. So when he set the all-time, record at Ontario in 75, going 598 at 241.53, it's really likely that somebody misread that clock and took 0.4 of his speed off that, which is still, I list it that way and it's in the record books that way, 241.53, but there's no such thing in the clocks of the day. So I called in and told him that he's no kidding. Like he didn't, yeah,
Yeah.
didn't think about it much. But yeah, you bet. That's are we down our tagline we've adopted over the years is turning heroes into pals. And it really
like
has it has
Yeah.
turned out that way. Well, let's
He
see where we are, man. 8-4. We're doing all right. We're moving fast, but
the first NHRA meet I ever went to in person was in 1994 at Englishtown, and
mhm.
that was Prudhomme's final year, final strike tour. was
Right.
that
Yeah, it was
year he
awesome.
retired. Matter of fact, same year Andretti retired too. 94, Mario
Right.
Andretti, Don Prudhomme, and Harry Gant. All three
Yeah.
of them,
Wow.
big names, retired after 94. But I saw Prudhomme. That was my first time ever at an NHRA race. I still jump it when Top Fuel went off. You know, it's like never like nothing to this day, nothing I've ever
Yeah.
heard of.
No,
And
no, nothing can prepare you.
no, nothing can prepare you for a Top Fuel launch. But and Prudhomme, I don't remember who won, but I remember Prudhomme, and he was in the final and he lost. He finished, runner up in the final. But my eyes were on Don Prudhomme. I got a T-shirt, had him autograph it. Total fan guy that weekend. But
Yeah.
I got him in his final year before he retired.
So that's awesome. Hey, let's do a couple seconds here real quick on the chat. John, does anybody else have any final thoughts for Patrick?
Well,
Or
let's see. This was about 10 minutes ago. Y'all were talking, I think YouTube TV was mentioned, and he said it's best on a rainy day. And
yeah,
Ray said, I mentioned that we're hoping for good weather this weekend for the Gator Nationals, and
right.
Ray said he's hoping to test this weekend. So, let's just keep the good weather vibe going, and everything will work out fine.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Don Garlis is having his International Drag Racing Hall of Fame inductions right before the Gators, as he always does. And our friend Jungle Pam Hardy is getting inducted, which I'm so thrilled. Our friend Kepner is already in there, and many other deserving folks. But really, really great to see Pam get that honor. And I wish I could be down there, but I'll be watching the live stream. Bobby Bennett of Competition Plus is going to put the live stream up, so I'll be peeking at it.
Yeah.
I was at Houston Raceway Park on that final strike tour for Prudhomme, and he won that race. He beat Scott Coletta, but I think Scott Coletta won the championship that year, and Prudhomme came in second. But that was when they had the great burn down in pro stock on
Yeah,
the starting line between Scott Jeffrion and
Warren Johnson.
Warren
Right?
Johnson.
Mhm.
Man, Buster Couch threw a fit. I've never seen anybody get so mad as that guy did, but they finally staged and ran, and WJ won the race.
Good stuff.
Hmm.
Thanks, John.
No, following different forms of motorsports like Speedway Report did, I didn't want to pigeonhole it into one type, but drag racing I loved as well, and there was always a spot for it on Speedway Report. And this weekend I'm excited for two races, but following different forms of racing make me shake my head and beat my head against the wall because we've got the Gator Nationals at Gainesville,
Right.
and in about 2 hours and 15 minutes up the road on the streets of St. Petersburg is also the IndyCar season opener,
That's
weekend
right.
to weekend, only about
Wow.
2 hours apart. And that always drove me nuts because I'm not the
Right.
only guy out there that likes a lot of forms of racing. And I know
Right.
some fans down in that area have to choose because
Right.
they like Indy cars and they like drag racing. And it's like,
Mhm.
does anybody ever pick up a phone for crying out loud and saying, hey, it'd be a great week because the following weekend, I believe, is the 12 hours of Sebring
Yeah.
sports car race. So, like, if you could have moved Gainesville or the IndyCar race up and down, you would have given race fans in Florida 3 back-to-back spectacular
Right.
weekends
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
start the year. It's a shame that NHRA and IndyCar going head-to-head like that because two good events.
Well,
You bet.
this is what makes you special, Patrick, is you cover all of motorsports from
Right.
Yeah,
A to Z, and it's all of it is fascinating. Really,
Mm.
we love your show, man.
thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Part, part of,
the interesting thing is I've, promoted drag racing and I have to now determine which one to attend. And I'm lucky in my area where there are a number of things that a lot of times, and even some of the shows you can go to several different things the same weekend. And you do just kind of run out of weekends, even for the
yeah.
indoor stuff, you kind of have to pick your dates. What are you going to do though?
Yeah, that's fortunately, yeah. With today, with the internet, streaming, television, you can keep track of it all on your phone. You don't even got to sit home in the
Right.
living room anymore. But yeah, just like the in-person stuff, if I had to buy a ticket, I'd have a tough choice this weekend because I love both so much. It's like
Yeah.
that's where I thought the strength of Speedway Report was that I did cover all. I love to have my finger on the pulse of all different forms of motorsports, But if you asked me who won the Super Bowl last month,
Yeah.
I'd be in deep trouble.
I remember now because it was such a big thing this last time, but I wouldn't I couldn't tell you over the last 5 years.
Yeah, me
I'd
neither.
have to go look it up.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and there's
remember
some
the old World War II movies where they say, well, where they test if you were a spy or not, whether or not, you could say who won the World Series or who won the well, not Super Bowl at the time, but I'd have always said that I would be so screwed because I just don't know. Which, everybody's got their thing, but
Well, if Danny was here, he'd tell us.
yeah. Patrick, I'm not in any kind of hurry, but I do want to give you an opportunity to promote the location where folks might be able to reach out to you if you've got any more time
Sure.
for folks to reach out to you for waves or anything else.
I
Where
do.
can
I
we find
do.
you?
A lot of it's in the graphic right behind you. My personal website is prmc.com. You see there over your shoulder on that list.
Okay.
MC, writer, speaker, radio host, podcaster, all that good stuff I do. Prmc.com is my website. So if you want to get a hold of me, get there. And from I can take you to Waves Entertainment. I can take you to WSIC Radio. And in the world of Google, that could pretty much, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's right.
Waves
Yeah.
Entertainment. I've got email addresses for all of them. My cell phone, one number for everything. So feel free, to drop me a line at any time on social media there as well. But prmc.com, that website, is probably the best place to get a hold of me. If anyone in the audience wants to talk racing, or if you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, want to get together or want to check out, a concert or a festival, that what I'm doing, we got a big spring, summer, fall plan with some entertainment. And heck, if you're at a local race, I might just meet up with you. That sounds
Sounds
fun to
cool.
me.
Yeah. Let's do that. It's funny, in the world of Google now, I do remember back in the day, I was so worried. Everybody was so worried. It shows how old I am in the internet years, at least. I'm old no matter what, but what is the perfect URL, the perfect doesn't matter now, you just, I mean, it does matter in a way, but not like it used to matter, right? You
Yeah.
just, as long as you got some good content, Google will find you and index you and send you to the right place.
Yeah, it's just become a lot. You just talk or type into your phone now, and you're just going to find things. So
Yeah.
yeah, my website's easy to contact me. The phone number's there, the email's there, whatever. We can share some talk radio. We can share
Yeah.
some concerts. We can share some racing. It's all there. So yeah, anybody in the audience wants to get a hold of me, I'd love to talk to them.
Awesome. And while we got you, any shout outs that you have? I mean, you've been very kind chatting about this person and that, Jeff, of course, and Mario, but anything else you want to holler at while we got you?
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it is, chatting with you takes me but real back to Racers Reunion. I've mentioned Jeff Gelder several times. Dustin, his son, was a producer on my show for a lot of years, and he
Yeah.
was a voice in my ear. I don't know how long, years and years. He was there every night, take care of me. So I don't think I'd be where I am without that email. I think just to expand on the story, if I go back to that original story on WSIC radio and the auto racing
Mhm.
talk show, is my first time on the air and did that a little bit. I think the host of the show was shopping the show around to try to
Okay.
branch it off of WSIC radio onto bigger and better things. And that's where Jeff somehow heard me, thought I could do what I could do. And he
Mhm.
gave me that shot, and just one opportunity led to the next. And I was like, man, I don't think if Jeff Gilder ever called me, who knows where I'd be. I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now without Racers Reunion. And when you think of Racers Reunion, you do think of Wally Bell. I think of you guys, Bill and John. I think of the Goat Rodeo
Yeah.
and
And Jerry
everybody.
Smith and Stars Radio, our friend
Stars
Jerry.
Radio, yeah. I think we had a Monday night triple header of
Yeah.
myself was in the middle. Jerry kicked us off, and you two closed us. But Monday night it was 1, 2, 3 shows. So if you
Yeah.
had your racing fix, gosh, I did everything. Jerry did short tracks, and you guys did drag racing. My goodness, by the end of the night, you were informed. You knew what
Yeah.
was going on, and I thought we had a really good opportunity when the Speed Channel folded and went to Fox
Yeah.
Sports One. I go, well, your racing fix is gone. Racers Reunion can take care of you. Tune us in. Come on. And we
Yeah.
just, I mean, we couldn't get it as big as I wanted it to, but yeah, that was a thing. It would have been great to have seen it go further than what it did. It was great time, good memories.
We're all doing good, and we give Jeff a shout out every single Monday night at the end of the show because he got us kicked off, and
Yeah.
that was just great. I was so proud to do it, and he reached out to us in June and of 2010 or thereabouts. I guess we went down to something in Carolina. I can't remember what it was, but that's where I met him, and it was pretty awesome.
Were you doing a radio show or some kind of broadcast already at that time?
Well, I
Or
was an
was,
announcer at Bud's. I had been the announcer at Maryland International Raceway from '87 to '02, doing the pro events there. The booked in shows and the national, just kind of hanging around at the national events. But then I took a couple of years off, and my kids got older, and if I traveled around so I could see some of these other cool things, and with my kids, and then I got to be at that point. Now they were in their early 20s and maybe late teens, and then I could. It just was a cool thing to do, and I'm so proud to do it. And
yeah, that's great. I,
well, you know what? It's been an awesome catching up with you, Patrick. And man, maybe we do it again to see what goes on this year. Once you get ready to promote some of those events, we can have you on to chat about it. Because I want to find out what your thoughts are on the modern NASCAR and things like that. I don't get a chance to
yeah.
hear about that anymore, and I know it's out there, but I don't care about it unless you're telling me. That's
We could dive into it now a little bit if you want, if you got time.
sure, go for it.
Yeah, I actually follow NASCAR a tremendously amount less than what I used to.
Hmm.
The playoffs and the stages just drive me nuts.
Yeah,
I don't think they got any place in auto racing, and in spite of my love of NHRA, I'm not a fan of the countdown. I
I
just
feel
don't
the
like a
same way.
playoff system. I don't think it. I think it works well in stick and ball sports when you have franchises across the country. It's two or one on one. You got two teams playing around the country all at the same time, and you get a ladder system. You got divisions. It works 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, what have you.
Right.
And it just does not work in the form of motorsports. We're trying to imitate the stick and ball sports. And my
Right.
my argument has always been, gosh, if I wanted to watch football, then I'd watch football. I
Right.
part of the thrill and the excitement of auto racing my entire life, it wasn't like baseball. It wasn't like
Right.
hockey. I don't dislike any of those sports. They just don't trip my trigger. And if you had an engine in it and it went fast, it did.
Yeah.
And NASCAR, we got talking actually on WSIC recently about the stages and playoff points and winning a race and going to the playoffs. And my head was spinning. I don't even understand it. And
Right.
I pause people. I go, I don't mean I don't understand it. Please explain it to me. I mean, I don't understand it. Sadly, I don't care.
Why?
Stop. Stop. Can I
Yeah.
go to my local short track on a Saturday night and just watch cars hang fast left turns and we wave a checkered flag and whoever wins? I'm happy
Right.
with that.
Right.
And the stages and it just, I think they got rules to have rules to have rules. It's too complicated. Just they make a rule to fix air quotes fix something, then they have unintended consequences, and they got four more problems, and then they got to make a whole new several paragraphs of rules, and it
Right.
takes, I can't even explain a sport to a new person anymore
Yeah.
because it's just so difficult to understand. And I don't like, I won't go thumbs down. I hate NASCAR, not that far, but gosh, I don't follow it like I used to. I just can't. I'm a purist. Take me back to pre 2003. That's
Yeah.
that's my love of the sport.
Yeah,
Sad but
I'm the
true.
same way.
Yeah.
Well, that always bothers me. I mean, you can my I take the NHRA playoffs, the countdown, very similar. Like it'd be like if you were playing the Kansas City Chiefs, for instance, and you somehow got up on them 24-10, and then you went into the fourth quarter and say, okay, cool, let's make it 10-7,
Yeah.
and then start from here.
Yeah.
And it's
I
just
agree. I agree. I've compared it something similar to like, okay, at the 2 minute Super Bowl, at the 2 minute warning, we're going to tie the score so we can have an exciting finish.
right. Exactly.
Brian France said with NASCAR, we need more game seven moments. And to my head, it's like you have game seven moments in the World Series because they are so rare.
Right.
Game seven's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
thrilling, but sometimes you get a four and out, but that's just how
Right.
sports organically plays
Right.
out. I wish they powers of B would just let auto racing organically play out. If a
Right.
guy clinches the title with 2, 3 races to go, he earned it. He deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's 45-3 at the 2 minute warning of the Super Bowl, that's the score.
Yeah.
When we got overtime this year, I do remember, can't remember who
Yeah.
won, but we got overtime. So that's exciting, but it organically played out because it rarely happens. I
Right.
wish we would let auto racing do the same. Let it just organically play out as it should. And man,
Yeah.
I'd be back there, never miss a beat on Sunday afternoon again. It'd be great. That's my
Absolutely.
two. That's me on my soapbox.
I'm with you, man. And also, let's quit trying to fake nicknames. I mean, people earn nicknames back in the day. I don't know where they all eventually came from, but it's like they keep trying to, for like 10, 15, 20 years now, they've tried to artificially attach nicknames coming from the PR folks instead of letting them earn them.
Nicknames happen. You
Yeah.
don't plan a nickname; it just happens.
Yeah.
Something happens and it just sticks. But you can't force a nickname. But I know what you're saying. People try to force it because it's cool and it's a PR firm, but it doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. They just got to happen.
Yep, I'm with you, man. Well, it's the Grumpy Old Guys Sports Report coming at you, folks. It's anyway, it was pure and beautiful. And it still is cool. Don't get me wrong. I still love it. I still track it. We still talk about it, but it gives us our arc of existence is quite long, and we saw all the good stuff. And it's a lot of cool stuff still going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I still follow all the sports, but yeah, that passion of I can't miss one, that has faded. And
yeah,
if I'm Sunday afternoon, if I'm somewhere else, it's just in the last 20 years, a lot of the luster is just worn off what it used to be. People call you the old curmudgeon of like, you're all the same.
that's
Y'all,
right.
it was better back in the day. And I'm like, well, it was.
Yeah.
It was better back in the day. Period. Done. It was better. Sue me, but it was better.
Well, final words, man. Thank Patrick. Thanks so much for coming on. What a pleasure.
Thank
I
you.
got this crazy real. It's the official Drag Racers reunion with Patrick Reynolds, and just all the best to you, sir. I look forward to following
Thank
along,
you.
and let's get you back on here again one of these days. That would be super fun.
I would love to come back. And don't forget to ask Prudhomme about that 55-gallon drum he
I
loaned
will.
AJ Foyt.
And
Great
AJ
story.
Foyt got it done. Was that when those Indy cars were going 220 back in the day, which they did at one point. Anyway. All right, sir. Have a great one.
Bill,
Ladies and
thanks so
gentlemen,
much.
Patrick Reynolds. Talk to you soon, sir.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Bill. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Bye. All right. It's so cool. Let's see if I can figure out my controls here. And we're done. Let's go over to John Bockelman for this week's Racer of the Week. John?
Thanks, BP. My pick for Racers of the Week are Brad and Ashley Digges from Midland, Virginia. Brad was recommended to me by our friend Dwayne Morris. Thanks, Dwayne. Brad is 38 years old. He drives a 2019 C7 Corvette and a 2023 Camaro. He owns an automotive repair business. It has been a family-owned business in Bealeton, Virginia for 37 years. His dad raced cars since the day Brad was born, and when he got old enough, he started Brad out racing. Brad's raced everything from motocross, sand drags, truck pulling, and back to the original good old drag racing on the streets, and the track doing what he has always loved to do. Now, Brad has raced with the Street Outlaws and Fastest in America twice and plans to run his new 2023 Pro Charge Camaro with No Prep Kings in the future. He owns and operates Digges Automotive in Bealeton, Virginia. This great shop is known as the best auto repair shop in Virginia. They have 5-star reviews. Brad's your guy. Well, Brad, you have some of the finest race cars that ever put their slicks down on a drag strip. We wish you good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Now, having Patrick on the show tonight brought back a flood of great memories of our 14 years of Drag List Live. We've gone through a lot of changes from the original 2-hour Friday night shows that we did in the beginning as Racing and Rockin' with Draglist.com. Our friends and producers have been helpful and encouraging all the way. To name them, I'll start with George Hutcherson, the Stone Age man, of course. Jeff and Dustin Gilder were of immeasurable help to us, as were Barb Santucci and Bud Mr. Drag News DeBoer. Danny White was invaluable for his complete knowledge of our sport, and his input was and is appreciated beyond words to this day. And to this day, our associate producers, Pete Mariello, Kay Thurkelson, and Brandon Noble, are keeping us afloat with their contacts and recommendations. And thanks, y'all. My Racer of the Week segment has been somewhat lacking in recommendations, but every now and then I get a referral that turns out great. And thank you for your input. I had to change the protocol to specify that the racer who is recommended must be notified in advance, and he or she must accept the recommendation. Once that's taken care of, I will contact them and get their input. Unfortunately, several racers never responded after being informed of what Drag List Live and Racer of the Week is, and I ended up with a very large file of useless graphics. So I had to make adjustments to how it works. I'm still open to receive recommendations, folks. So if you know of a racer you'd like to see get a week's worth of free worldwide ink, follow the yellow brick road and we'll take it from there. I'm still getting messages for me to go back out and play live gigs. I appreciate the compliments I've received. They mean a lot to me. But that chapter of my musical career is closed, and I've moved on. Musically, I'm concentrating on songwriting, arranging, and recording with my City Kings brothers, Scott and Bill. The great group of friends I had that sponsored the live band I was in for 18 years all say they want me back. I love them, and I had a wonderful time with them, but I'm doing what's best for me now. I'm happy doing graphics and spending time with my family. Plus, I get to play with my best friends who are excellent musicians once a week doing original music. I couldn't ask for a better gig, and I don't want to do anything else. It's working out for the best in my life. When my friends who still play do gigs, I go out and support them at their shows. It's what Pee Wee recommended to us. Support live music. He was right about that, and I intend to follow that command to the letter. But as for me, I'm not going to do it anymore. Now, everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. We look forward to having y'all with us every week. It's a great way for us to spend an hour together on a Monday night. Now, don't forget to spring forward Sunday morning and enjoy the Gator Nationals. I'll see y'all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. You are blowing my mind. Are we ready to spring forward again already?
Yes,
Oh my
Sunday
goodness
morning
me.
at 2 a.m.
Oh my goodness me. Okay, well, I'm ready. And thanks to you for letting me know.
Well, I
Yikes.
saw this little icon on my weather report on my Yahoo page. It
Hmm.
had this little green clock, and I said, I wonder what that is. So I checked it out, man. It's daylight savings time starts up Sunday.
Well, I won't complain because I like it a little lighter, a little darker, but
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Oh, a little lighter, a little later. That's right, or whenever. I don't know. Let me go on with my next segment, and then I'll get out of trouble here. So, I do. Let's go up to upcoming guests. So, thanks so much to our new friend Brandon Noble, our new producer. He's been hard at work lining up guests for us, and I've got 3 dates to announce. We have filled up the rest of March, and Brandon's working hard on April. So coming up next Monday night, March 11th, we've got George and Scott Snizek of the Tasmanian Devil fame. Scott surprised us at George when we showed the big unveiling up there in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, of the brand new refurbished Tasmanian Devil, not the tribute car, but the original car. It is a work of art. And we're going to have George and Scott come on and tell about that story of how Scott got that put back together for him and surprised his dad up at Lebanon, Pennsylvania, just a couple months ago. Coming up on Monday, March 18th, we have our friend Nitro Joe Morrison coming on to tell us what he's got going on this year. We had a great conversation with Joe up in Pennsylvania as well a couple weeks ago. So Nitro Joe will be gracing our airwaves or our internet waves here on the 18th. And then Monday, March 25th, a real treat for me. One of the most generous and important men that I know in the sport of drag racing, Todd Mack, is going to be joining us, the former owner of Maryland International Raceway, along with Larry Clayton. And Todd always has great ideas about how the sport can be better, and he introduced so many great ideas over the years, in addition to putting on just some killer shows at Budds Creek. So here's the lineup, guys. March 11th, George and Scott Snizek. On March 18th, Joe Morrison. And March 25th, Todd Mack. And we got Brandon working hard on all 5 Monday nights in April, one of those weird months. The 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th. So looking forward to seeing all of these great guys coming up for the month of March. And tons more people to talk to, thanks to Kay and thanks to Pete and thanks to many others. We've got a list that we handed to Brandon, and he's off making it happen. Going into those we lost, I do have 2 folks to mention this week. Bear Barlow, Volkswagen racer and modified production. I even had Volkswagen powered dragsters, but saw the big picture of him in the winner's circle of Indy 1981. Brett Kepner chiming in online says, never forgotten, one of the great sportsman racers of all time, Bear Barlow, passing away on the 25th of February. And on 27th of February, Canadian photographer Bob Boudreau. Lots of wonderful shots of race cars back in the 70s and think back to the 60s too, but those are really, really great looking shots. And just a big bear of a man. Everybody really liked him. And a lot of love online for Canadian photographer Bob Boudreau passing on as well. So very interesting how similar the 2 names are. Bear Barlow and Bob Boudreau, our French ancestry shown in both of these racers. But farewell to these gentlemen, and of course our condolences to the family and their many, many friends. So that's a wrap for me. John, any final thoughts before we say farewell?
Well, Patrick Reynolds isn't just a world-class MC. He's a world-class guy.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's just great having him on the show tonight. And like I say, it brought back so many memories from when we first started out. Patrick was one of our biggest supporters.
He sure was.
And he still is. He wouldn't be here if he wasn't. He's just a terrific person. And I'm looking forward to having George and Scott Snizek on the show next week with their Tasmanian Devil fuel altered, which is really is a fantastic hot rod.
It is a jewel, but yet looking forward to it, and great guys as well, as you are, John. So thank you so much. Let's do a final wrap here. We want to thank Patrick Reynolds for coming on. And I do, by golly, mean it. We're going to get, I want to work with Jeff Gildren, and I've got a number of them saved already. We want to get these shows up on YouTube so folks can search for them and find them. But I think all of the Great Racer Reunion shows need to be saved off somewhere. And Patrick's got many of them, but we need to put them all in one place, I do believe. And I'll be doing whatever I can to make that happen. I want to thank John Bockelman, my brother, who takes such good care of us. And now Brandon Noble, who's really out there turning these shows around for us. Of course, thanks to Kay and Pete as well. And thanks forever to Danny White, the man right there, who I miss every day. And we're doing a lot of updates to Draglist. By the way, we've got Brian, our fantastic database guy who built the Draglist database from scratch, according to my specs. He has been working, a couple of years ago, or whenever it was, Elon Musk took over Twitter and then turned it into X, and all of the algorithms broke for us to get the live Draglist updates every time we edited a database entry. it would pop something up on our Drag List X Twitter. Well, Brian has been working on that very recently. We've got the link to the new algorithms, and he sort of has it almost working. He's just been working on it today, and you can actually see those tweets now on Draglist X on Twitter, or I mean on X, I guess. Draglist X on X, which is weird. But I'm hopeful in the next couple of days we will be back to the point where every time we update a Draglist entry, you will see it out there. And so Rob McCabe, who's been doing a ton of great work, and Mel Bashore and others who've been making some great edits on the drag racing lists. It'll be cool to get those back out there on a live basis every time there's an update. So as we said tonight, we always want to send a thanks to Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion Radio, and Wingding TV for getting us up and started. And remember to click the like and click the share button to share this show with your Facebook friends. Even if you're watching the recorded version, please check in on draglist.com every day to see what we got new for you. And finally, we will see you next Monday night for George and Scott Snizek. Until then, John, have a great week, and everybody else have a great week. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll figure this doggone thing out with Draglist and Zoom not wanting to play nicely together with the Facebook page. But until then, at least we're putting it up on the Super Guru World headquarters, and so have a good one, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.